I'm going to start with a prayer by Bahá'u'lláh. Dispel my grief by thy bounty and thy generosity. O God, my God, and banish mine anguish through thy sovereignty and thy might. Thou seest me, O my God, with my face set towards thee at a time when sorrows have compassed me on every side. I implore thee, O thou who art the Lord of all being, and overshadowest all things, visible and invisible, by thy name, whereby thou hast subdued the hearts and the souls of men, and by the billows of the ocean of thy mercy, and the splendors of the day star of thy bounty, to number me with them whom nothing whatsoever hath deterred from setting their faces toward thee, O thou Lord of all names, and maker of the heavens. Thou beholdest, O my Lord, the things which have befallen me in thy days. I entreat thee by him who is the day spring of thy names, and the dawning place of thine attributes, to ordain for me what will enable me to arise to serve thee, and to extol thy virtues. Thou art verily the Almighty, the most powerful, who art wont to answer the prayers of all men. And finally, I beg of thee by the light of thy countenance to bless my affairs and redeem my debts and satisfy my needs. Thou art he to whose power and to whose dominion every tongue hath testified, and whose majesty and whose sovereignty every understanding heart hath acknowledged. No God is there but thee, who hearest, and art ready to answer. Lauded and glorified art thou, O my God. I entreat thee by the sighing of thy lovers, and by the tears shed by them that long to behold thee, not to withhold from me thy tender mercies in thy day, nor to deprive me of the melodies of the dove that extolleth thy oneness before the light that shineth from thy face. I am the one who is in misery, O God. Behold me cleaving fast to thy name, the all-possessing. I am the one who is sure to perish. Behold me, clinging to thy name, the imperishable. I implore thee, therefore, by thyself, the exalted, the Most High, not to abandon me unto mine own self, and unto the desires of a corrupt inclination. Hold thou my hand with the hand of thy power, and deliver me from the depths of my fancies and idle imaginings, and cleanse me of all that is abhorrent unto thee. Cause me then to turn wholly unto thee, to put my whole trust in thee, to seek thee as my refuge, and to flee unto thy face. Thou art verily he who through the power of his might doeth whatsoever he desireth, and commandeth through the potency of his will whatsoever he chooseth. None can withstand the operation of thy decree. None can divert the course of thine appointment. Thou art in truth the Almighty, the All-Glorious, the Most Bountiful. Is there any remover of difficulties save God? Is there any remover of difficulties save God? Say praise be God, he is God. All are his servants, and all abide. All abide. All abide by his bidding. The vow. Thou knowest full well, O my God, that tribulations have showered upon me from all directions, and that no one can dispel or transmute them except thee. I know of a certainty by virtue of my love for thee, that thou wilt never cause tribulations to befall any soul unless thou desirest to exalt his station in thy celestial paradise, and to buttress his heart in this earthly life with the bulwark of thine all-compelling power, that it may not become inclined toward the vanities of this world. Indeed, thou art well aware that under all conditions I would cherish the remembrance of thee, far more than the ownership of all that is in the heavens and on the earth. Strengthen my heart, O my God, in thine obedience and in thy love, and grant that I may be clear of the entire company of thine adversaries. Verily, I swear by thy glory that I yearn for naught besides thyself, nor do I desire anything except thy mercy, nor am I apprehensive of aught save thy justice. I beg thee to forgive me, as well as those whom thou lovest, howsoever thou pleasest. Verily, thou art the Almighty, the Bountiful. Immensely exalted art thou, O Lord of the heavens and earth, above the praise of all men, and may peace be upon thy faithful servants. And glory be unto God, the Lord of all the worlds. I adjure thee by thy might, O my God. I adjure thee by thy might. I adjure thee by thy might. Let no harm beset me in times of tests, and in moments of heedlessness. Guide my steps aright through thine inspiration. I adjure thee by thy might, O my God. I adjure thee by thy might, I adjure thee by thy might. Let no harm beset me in times of test, and in moments of heedlessness. Guide my steps aright through thine inspiration. Thou art God, potent art thou to do what thou desirest. Thou art God, no one can withstand thy will or thwart thy purpose. I adjure thee by thy might, O my God. I adjure thee by thy might, I adjure thee by thy might. Let no harm beset me in times of test, and in moments of heedlessness. Guide my steps aright through thine inspiration, through thine inspiration, through thine inspiration, through thine inspiration. From the Tablet of Maqsud by Bahá'u'lláh. The great being saith, the tongue of wisdom proclaimeth, he that hath me not is bereft of all things. Turn ye away from all that is on earth, and seek none else but me. I am the Son of Wisdom, the ocean of knowledge. I cheer the faint and revive the dead. I am the guiding light that illumineth the way. I am the royal falcon on the arm of the Almighty. I unfold the drooping wings of every broken bird and start it on its flight. I am the Son of Wisdom and the ocean of knowledge. I cheer the faint and revive the dead. I am the guiding light that illumineth the way. I am the royal falcon on the arm of the Almighty. I unfold the drooping wings of every broken bird and start it on its flight. I unfold the drooping wings of every broken bird and start it on. Start it on its flight. And likewise, he saith, the heaven of true understanding shineth resplendent with the light of two luminaries, tolerance and righteousness. O my friend, vast oceans lie enshrined within this brief saying. Blessed are they who appreciate its value, drink deep therefrom and grasp its meaning, and woe betide the heedless. This lowly one entreateth the people of the world to observe fairness, that their tender, their delicate and precious hearing, which hath been created to hearken unto the words of wisdom, may be freed from impediments and from such illusions, idle fancies, or vain imaginings as cannot fatten or appease the hunger, so that the true counselor may be graciously inclined to set forth that which is the source of blessing for mankind and the highest good for all nations. And that is from the Tablet of Maqsud by Bahá'u'lláh. Let's do a couple more prayers. O Lord, thou art the remover of every anguish and the dispeller of every affliction. Thou art he who banisheth every sorrow and setteth free every slave, the Redeemer of every soul. O Lord, grant deliverance through thy mercy, and reckon me among such servants of thine as have gained salvation. Here's a prayer by Abdul-Baha. O God, my God, fill up for me the cup of detachment from all things, and in the assembly of thy splendors and bestowals, rejoice me with the wine of loving thee. Free me from the assaults of passion and desire. Break off from me the shackles of this nether world. Draw me with rapture unto thy supernal realm, and refresh me amongst the handmaids with the breathings of thy holiness. O Lord, brighten thou my face with the lights of thy bestowals. Light thou mine eyes with beholding the signs of thine all-subduing might. Delight my heart with the glory of thy knowledge that encompasseth all things. Gladden thou my soul with thy soul-reviving tidings of great joy. O thou King of this world and the kingdom above. O thou Lord of dominion and might, that I may spread abroad thy signs and tokens, and proclaim thy cause, and promote thy teachings, and serve thy law, and exalt thy word. Thou art verily the powerful, the ever-giving, the able, the omnipotent. A prayer for husbands. O God, my God, this thy handmaid is calling upon thee, trusting in thee, turning her face unto thee, imploring thee to shed thy heavenly bounties upon her, and to disclose unto her thy spiritual mysteries, and to cast upon her the lights of thy Godhead. O my Lord, make the eyes of my husband to see. Rejoice thou his heart with the light of the knowledge of thee. Draw thou his mind unto thy luminous beauty. Cheer thou his spirit by revealing unto him thy manifest splendors. O my Lord, lift thou the veil from before his sight. Rain down thy plenteous bounties upon him. Intoxicate him with the wine of love for thee. Make him one of thine angels whose feet walk upon this earth, even as their souls are soaring through the high heavens. Cause him to become a brilliant lamp, shining out with the light of thy wisdom in the midst of thy people. Verily thou art the precious, the ever-bestowing, the open of hand. And now I'm going to chant Remover of Difficulties again. I might do it more than once. Is there any remover? Is there any remover? Is there any remover of difficulties? Save God. Is there any remover? Is there any remover? Is there any remover of difficulties? Save God. Say, praised be God. He is God. All are his servants. All are his servants. All are his servants, and all by his bidding. I'm going to read from the Kitáb-Í-Iqán, the Book of Certitude by Bahá'u'lláh. Well, Baha'u'lláh has been writing about the things that keep people from recognizing God's messengers when they appear in the world, whether it's Jesus or Moses, or Muhammad, the Bab, Baha'u'lláh, and all of the other divine messengers that have come to all the different parts of the world. And he says, Gracious God, notwithstanding the warning, which in marvelously symbolic language and subtle allusions hath been uttered in days past, and which was intended to awaken the peoples of the world and prevent them from being deprived of their share of the billowing ocean of God's grace. Yet such things as have already been witnessed have come to pass. Reference to these things hath also been made in the Quran, as witnessed by this verse. What can such expect, but that God should come down to them overshadowed with clouds? A number of the divines who hold firmly to the letter of the Word of God have come to regard this verse as one of the signs of that expected resurrection which is born of their idle fancy. This, notwithstanding the fact that similar references have been made in most of the holy books and have been recorded in all the passages connected with the signs of the coming manifestation. So, what is he talking about here? He's talking about the fact that there's prophecies from every religion about the coming of the promised one who will deliver humanity from its ills. The one that the Jews call the Messiah. The one that the Christians call the return of Christ. The one that the Muslims call the coming of the fifth Imam. The one that the Buddhists call the coming of the fifth Buddha. The one that the Hindus call the coming of white buffalo calf women. Or all of the religions. They all have this prophecy that one will appear. I'm sorry, I said that I got confused. The Hindus call it the return of Krishna. It's the Lakota people that call it the coming of white buffalo calf woman. That's just to say that, all the religions have the same prophecy. They just use different names. Because names are symbols anyway. It's the Spirit of God in human form that we're talking about, that returns to the earth from age to age to bring new light so that humanity can continue to have increasing spiritual knowledge. And in this day, we Baha'is believe that it's Bahá'u'lláh. And it's his writings I'm reading from. So perhaps you can listen to his writings and see if they ring true. So what are these prophecies? He's saying that these prophecies have been revealed in what he calls marvelously symbolic language. Marvelously symbolic language, but people take it literally. And that's why they are not able to recognize the truth when it appears. That's one of the reasons. And he was previously talking about, just looking to see what he had talked about. Yeah, mostly the clouds. He's talking about, here he's mostly talking about the word clouds being used, like Jesus will come in the clouds. He's saying the clouds are all the things that veil human beings from being able to recognize the divine messenger. The fact that he comes in human form, like a regular person with the limitations of people, that's a cloud that keeps people from recognizing him or her. The fact that he reveals teachings that people don't want because it goes against their desires. For instance, to give to the poor and take care of people when people are greedy. So they don't want to recognize that. The fact that, and the leaders of religions themselves are also represent the clouds, because very often they will turn their people away because they feel threatened by the messenger, just like what happened with Jesus, where the high priests opposed him because he was challenging their hypocrisy. Well, that happened in the time of the Bab and Baha'u'lláh as well. It happened in the time of Muhammad. That people denied them because they were talking about things that were going to threaten the wealth and prestige of the clergy. Those are some of the clouds that keep people from recognizing. Another cloud is the superstitions people have. The fact that people think it's a real cloud and Jesus is going to come down on a real cloud somewhere, which is idle fancy. Baha'u'lláh calls this idle fancy. That's another cloud that keeps us from recognizing. Go on. Likewise, he saith, on the day when the heavens shall give out a palpable smoke which shall enshroud mankind, this will be an afflictive torment. Well, that's a quote from the Quran. That sounds like a bomb, if you were going to take it literally. The All-Glorious hath decreed these very things that are contrary to the desires of wicked men, to be the touchstone and standard whereby he proveth his servants, that the just may be known from the wicked, and the faithful distinguished from the infidel. Oh, okay. Now Baha'u'lláh is going to explain what he means by smoke. And it isn't literal. It's not a literal bomb. The symbolic term smoke denotes grave dissensions, the abrogation and demolition of recognized standards, and the utter destruction of their narrow-minded exponents. Let's look at that again. The symbolic term smoke, so he says, this time is the time when, according to the Quran, the heavens shall give out a palpable smoke which shall enshroud mankind, which is an afflictive torment. And he's saying that it's a symbolic term, and it means grave dissensions, the abrogation and demolition of recognized standards, such as the inequality of women, and the utter destruction of their narrow-minded exponents. By exponents, he would mean those who hold fast to those beliefs and promote them. What smoke more dense and overpowering than the one which hath now enshrouded all the peoples of the world, which hath become a torment unto them, and from which they hopelessly fail to deliver themselves, however much they strive. So fierce is this fire of self burning within them, that at every moment they seem to be afflicted with fresh torments. The more they are told that this wondrous cause of God, this revelation from the Most High, hath been made manifest to all mankind, and is waxing greater and stronger every day, the fiercer groweth the blaze of the fire in their hearts. Now Baha'u'lláh is talking about the reaction of the clergy and the opponents of Baha'u'lláh to his message of peace and unity and justice. The more they observe the indomitable strength, the sublime renunciation, the unwavering constancy of God's holy companions, who by the aid of God are growing nobler and more glorious every day, the deeper the dismay which ravageth their souls. He's talking about, the enemies of the faith. As they watch the proponents of the faith make greater and greater sacrifices, become nobler and more glorious and unwavering and strong, the angrier they get. In these days, praise be to God, the power of his word, God's word, hath obtained such ascendancy over men that they dare breathe no word. Were they to encounter one of the companions of God, who, if he could, would freely and joyously offer up 10,000 lives as a sacrifice for his beloved, so great would be their fear, that they forthwith would profess their faith in him whilst privily they would vilify and execrate his name. So they would say it, but then in private they would denounce him. Even as he hath revealed, and when they meet you, they say, we believe, but when they are apart, they bite their fingers' ends at you out of wrath. Say, die in your wrath. God truly knoweth the very recesses of your breasts. Well, that's a hard place to leave it, so I guess I'm going to have to keep going. So it's this anger, this wrath, this hatred, this violence that consumes us. And we need to turn to God to have it lifted. Ere long, thine eyes will behold the standards of divine power unfurled throughout all regions, and the signs of his triumphant might and sovereignty manifest in every land. As most of the divines have failed to apprehend the meanings of these verses, and have not grasped the significance of the day of resurrection, they therefore have foolishly interpreted these verses according to their idle and faulty conception. The one true God is my witness. Little perception is required to enable them to gather from the symbolic language of these two verses all that we have purposed to propound, and thus to attain, through the grace of the All-Merciful, the resplendent morn of certitude. So, these two verses. Oh yeah. So the first verse being now these are quotes from the Quran. So he's talking now, because this was written in the 1800s. He's talking more to the Muslims, and he's talking about this verse, the first one that we read, on the day when the heaven shall give out a palpable smoke which shall enshroud all mankind, this will be an afflictive torment. And he said that denotes grave dissensions, the abrogation and demolition of recognized standards, and the utter destruction of their narrow-minded exponents. And he talks about the fire of self. And then he says, when they meet you, they say, we believe, but when they are apart, they bite their fingers' ends at you out of wrath. Say, die in your wrath. God truly knoweth the very recesses of your breasts. So he's talking to those people who know these writings, so they can measure their own behavior against these writings. And he's saying it doesn't take a whole lot of perception by just looking at these two verses to gain faith in Baha'u'lláh and his teachings. Such are the strains of celestial melody which the immortal bird of heaven, warbling upon the Sadri of Baha, I think that would be the branch of glory. He's talking about himself. He's talking about his voice and his pen as the voice of God. He says, such are the strains of celestial melody which the immortal bird of heaven, warbling upon the branch of glory, poureth out upon thee, that by permission of God thou mayest tread the path of divine knowledge and wisdom. So, I will continue next time in our study of this book, the Book of Certitude, or the Kitáb-Í-Iqán, and I'm going to end with another prayer. This one is also by Baha'u'lláh. And but I will chant this one. Suffer me, O my God, to draw nigh unto thee. Suffer me, O my God, to draw nigh unto thee. Suffer me, O my God, to draw nigh unto thee, and to abide within the precincts of thy court. For remoteness from thee hath well nigh consumed me, hath well nigh consumed me. Cause me to rest under the shadow of the wings of thy grace. For the flame of my separation from thee hath melted, hath melted, hath melted my heart within me. Draw me nearer unto the river that is life indeed, for my soul burneth with thirst in its ceaseless search after thee. My sighs, O my God, proclaim the bitterness of mine anguish, and the tears I shed attest my love for thee. I beseech thee, by the praise wherewith thou praisest thyself, and the glory wherewith thou glorifiest thine own essence, to number me, to grant that we may be numbered among them that have recognized thee and acknowledged thy sovereignty in thy days. Help us then to quaff, O my God, from the fingers of mercy the living waters of thy loving kindness, that we may utterly forget aught else except thee, be occupied only with thyself. Powerful art thou to do what thou willest. God is there beside thee, the mighty, the help in peril, the self-subsisting. Glorified be thy name.